Kyle Rittenhouse, the defendant in this case, first emerged into the national consciousness last year. There were protests going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is about an hour north of Chicago. These protests were happening after Kenosha police shot a black man, and Rittenhouse showed up on the second night of protests. He was armed, and that night he shot 3 people and killed 2 of them. Now he's on trial facing, among other charges, intentional homicide.
There will be no dispute in this record that the defendant had that gun that night, shot 8 bullets. 4 of them hit Joseph Rosenbaum, 2 of them at an unknown individual, 1 into Anthony Huber's chest, and 1 into Gage Grosskreuz's arm. That will not be in dispute.
This whole case revolves around self-defense. And the way self-defense works in Wisconsin is if the defendant can produce enough evidence to have a court say there's evidence of self-defense, then the burden of proving no self-defense goes to the state.
The end of that gun was pointed directly at his chest when you pulled the trigger, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that, correct?
Yes.
And you still pulled the trigger, didn't you?
Yes.
Because you intended to kill Anthony Huber at that moment, didn't you?
No.
What did you think was going to happen then? You got a gun that's aimed directly at his chest. You pull the trigger. What did you think was going to happen?
The judge I've known for a long time, and he's pretty conservative and straightforward. And it was obvious early on he wanted to maintain strict control over the trial.
This was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that. And the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
The prosecutor had to go after him, and which is what he tried to do. Kyle Rittenhouse was one of the most rehearsed witnesses I've ever seen. He did not move an inch from his testimony about, I didn't intend to kill him. I was just protecting. I was just trying to stop the attack on me. And he just repeated it over and over and over again. Very, very controlled. And it was hard for the prosecutor to get anywhere with him because he was so well prepared. And, and he came off very likable and articulate.
You are telling this jury that it was, in your mind, justified to use deadly force to protect your own life, correct?
Yes.
You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to protect that CarSource building, correct?
Well, I wasn't using deadly force to protect the property. I used deadly force to protect myself, so.
Please listen to my question and answer my question if you can. You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to protect that CarSource building, correct?
Yes.
Rittenhouse has really emerged as this polarizing figure to those who object to his presence and his actions. They see him as somebody who had no business going out there, someone who was, almost terrorizing. He's been called a domestic terrorist by his critics. Those who support him really see him as justified in his actions. He was bringing a sense of order and wanting to help a community, even though it wasn't his own community. He wanted to help.
I think that closing arguments are going to be the most important part of the trial. How these 2 lawyers try to string this together on the self-defense part. I wouldn't be surprised if we wound up with a hung jury, with a jury that can't decide, because, there are arguments on both sides, and it's such a tough case.